And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We've just been sitting here having a good time before the show began with Lars, and we've been laughing. And Michaela's been talking so much we couldn't hardly get a word in edgewise. But we're so glad to be here with you today. Most importantly, we're so honored and so thankful that we got Lars Gustafsson back with us. Lars Rain Gustafsson is his name. And I'm going to put up his website because, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you right now, you're in for a treat because he talked yesterday about detachment. And we can all get, involved in our what we love, our possessions, for example. Whatever we treasure in our hearts, that's our God. People may not like to look at it like that, but I mean, that's just about, as true as it gets, because what you treasure in your heart, that's what you serve. That's what you love. Michaela, you text me last night and you says, I got to come back today. And I said, okay. Says, I got a lot of questions to ask him. What impressed you about Lars yesterday on the show? If you'd share that, please.
I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm stressed all the time, all day. And I never would have thought to just, it's easier. I've been told, I tell myself all the time, like, just forget about it. But it's so hard to do. And when he puts it into a perspective where, when it comes to your health and, just being the best version of yourself for everybody around you. That's what's most important. And it's crazy because, our oldest is 12, and that's how we tell her, you have to be the best version of yourself. But it's like, I have to do that too, I need to practice what I teach them. So he made it seem so easy, and it's just,
Yeah, it really is. I've learned a lot about that, and I'm going to take a break just for a second. I got to run to the other room. I got to get a book for the benefit of the folks out there. But my point being, Bill Heinrich has taught me a lot about that because there's only two major emotions. Do you remember that from yesterday? See, there's going to be a test today when you come back. See,
okay.
Sure. Okay.
Is fear one of them?
Fear. Yes. What's the other one?
I don't know. Love.
Yes.
Maybe?
Yes.
Has
Fear and because fear comes from the physical side. You think about your life 5 years ago, let's be honest, we were all worried about something. Maybe we're worried if we're not going to get enough rain or getting too much rain, or we're worried about something's preoccupying our mind. And all it is doing is just robbing us of living. That's it in a nutshell. And when you just say, okay, wherever I'm at right now, you, ladies and gentlemen, you may be in a situation right now where you're sitting there and you're thinking, this is the lowest point of my life. And we all have our days when we feel like a doll in the mouth of a dog, a rag doll. And my point being, if you're in that low place right now, give thanks and say, this is the perfect place for me right now.
Right.
But this is not where I'm going to stay. I'm on my way out of here because I'm going to release all my worries. I'm going to release everything that's dragging me down. I'm just going to love myself. I'm going to love the Creator. And I'm going to walk in the light.
Because sometimes our life looks different than what we planned for it to be.
Oh, isn't that the truth? But we want to keep this on the positive side. But
that's positive.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding you. But I remember when I was with the Arizona Guard, we practiced, we were out on maneuvers one night. Noise and light discipline in the military is a big thing. Now, for you folks that's familiar with the Arizona sky, you can see for 70 miles out there in Arizona. There's no place in Arizona you cannot stand and not see mountains. But this particular night, it was pitch black. This whole big, huge sky. pitch black, not one star, not nothing. I couldn't figure out why it was so dark like that, because usually you have a little moonlight or stars or something, but this was just as black as could be. And we were under noise and light discipline. And of course, we used flashlights with red lenses when we had to, and that was acceptable. But over in the corner of my eye, I don't know how far it was away because I couldn't tell the distance, but it was quite a bit of ways. There was a guy that had a lighter, and he flicked that lighter to light his cigarette. My point being, in that huge, vast darkness, that little flicker of a flame from a flashlight could not squelch that light. So when you turn your sunny side on and you turn it up, the darkness of the world cannot squelch your light. It's impossible. That's a universal law, just like the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west, and no one can change that. And I know we want to bring Lars to the stage, Michaela, because I know you got some things you want to talk with him about. You guys were visiting beforehand. We had a great time. Lars's website is right there, ladies and gentlemen, uexl.org. Be sure and check it out. And during this information, if you want to email Lars, info@uexl.org. And I'm going to push the button. I'm going to let you welcome him to the stage.
Welcome back.
It's great to be here. Hi to Michaela and Jim.
Oh, we're so glad to have you back.
Excited.
And before I turn it over to Lars and let him pick up where he wants to, Lars is going to be with us, not this Friday, but a week from Friday on our radio show on Toginet, TOGINET.com at 12 noon Eastern Time. And you can listen to us live there. Just go to Toginet.com. And up in the upper left-hand corner, it says listen live. And if you recognize our voices, it'll be us. If you don't recognize the voices, it won't be us. But we'll be live at 12 noon there, ladies and gentlemen. Lars, thank you so much for coming back and being with us today, because you're going to be talking about things at a much higher level than just the physical, aren't you?
Yes, Jim. And let's kick it off with Michaela's question. She had an awesome question. We were just diving into it before we went live here. So, Michaela. Oh, your audio.
I think your audio is muted, huh?
Okay, there you go.
There we go.
I muted it when I touched it.
Yeah.
So my question was, you hear about people being detached, like when it comes to relationships, or emotionally detached. So what's the difference between detachment from, things around you and being detached, like within yourself, or if you're like in a relationship?
It's a beautiful question. It's a wonderful lead into today. The perception of detachment, when I first heard of it, was actually the similar tone to being emotionally detached. Or you hear it often in relationships. He's not listening to me, or she's not listening to me. That's a form of detachment that is unengaged, and that is that's a form of just basically just shutting it off. In this form of detachment, what we're talking about as a spiritual practice, it is the unhooking and untethering and cutting all cords between you and all people, all events, everything, and even belief structures, and even, as we were saying yesterday, our own archetypes, our own avatars of ourselves. What emerges on the other side of that is your true self. And in that state, it's really, really important to fully acknowledge your emotions, to be present. It brings a state of presence that actually doesn't drag with it all the beliefs of the past. It's one of the most beautiful ways to be in relationship, is to see each other as if you're seeing each other for the very first time. Every time, all the time. Suspending all beliefs, because we talked about this yesterday, We bring a whole lifetime of belief into every interaction, into our work, into our raising of kids, into all of that. And so we also, therefore, because of those beliefs, have expectations of those that we love. And then we have expectations of what we think they need from us. And then that creates a form of, it's a rough way to say it, but it's a form of slavery. Because we are enslaved to the perceptions of beliefs that we need to meet someone else's expectations, which are based on beliefs that are not theirs, and then our beliefs are also mostly not ours. And so let's just unpack that for a minute. Our unconscious mind can take in millions and millions and millions of bits of data per second. So imagine a lifetime of that. In school, being raised by your parents, they have their beliefs, and they brought their beliefs unquestioned. Mostly, from what I've experienced, older generations don't question beliefs, don't question reality, and bring it to the core values of what we're talking about here, which is relinquishing all of that and coming to your center point. And so therefore we have this accumulated belief structure that forms the lenses through which we see the world, forms the lenses through which we see each other. And when we cut that all away, when we release all expectations, what really emerges is unconditional love. Because there is no condition.
That's powerful.
There are no conditions.
It really is, because love is the one thing that I don't think anybody can really live without. I really believe that in my heart, because we're all social creatures. And I know some people who were, let me humbly say that they hated the source where all love generates, but then the one thing that one of them admitted that they really wish they had in their life was love. And when you shut off the flow from where it generates from, it's kind of like, if you don't pay your electric bill, they'll cut your lights off. I mean, it's just one of those things. You're in a GNC status. And for those of you that don't know what GNC means, it means you got nothing coming. And, but my point being is that love is the greatest of all emotions. It is the one thing that we all crave. And many times when I've spoken on to groups, and either virtually or on stage, I talk about the LLAR, how everybody wants to be liked, everybody wants to be loved, everybody wants to be appreciated, and everybody wants to be respected. And that is the way we should be living our lives today. Even if we agree to disagree with someone, we should still try to like the person as an individual, at least love them as a human being, appreciate that their views are different than yours, but respect their opinion. And that is one thing that I don't see being demonstrated in our society today. But that does not mean you and I have to drink from that polluted spring that actually poisons us on the inside. You can if you want to, but you don't have to, because you have a choice. Am I right on that, Lars?
Well said. Well said. Absolutely. Yes. We're familiar with Power versus Force, Dr. David Hawkins' book. For those of you who are not familiar with it, Dr. Hawkins created a scale of consciousness from 0 to 1,000. And each step in the scale of 0 to 1,000 is a logarithmic step. So he talks about in the book how most don't actually increase more than 5 points in a lifetime.
Wow.
It depends on what you link into. So let me go through the scale, and that'll draw a better picture. At the level of 20, which is shame, you're at the same level of consciousness as a slug. At the level of 150, which is anger and resentment, that That's the level of defensiveness.
Mm-hmm.
That's the level of anger. At
Right.
190 to 200, that's the level of pride.
Mm.
And past 200, we start to get up towards the 300 mark, which is the level of acceptance.
Hmm.
And so what we are talking about, Jim, is actually the place from which we operate when we detach is the place of unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And that on the Hawkins scale is well past the 500 level. That goes up to like 560, 600.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Then past that, you start to reach a level where not even name matters. Because we become so identified with naming everything. I am this, I am that. I am
Mm-hmm.
male, I am female, I am son, I am father, I am sister, I am, all these things.
Mm.
So the scale of consciousness is really interesting to observe, especially when we put it into context of how we can influence the world.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What he said was that one person at the level of acceptance, which is 300, can counterbalance the negative vibrations being put off by hundreds of thousands under the level of 200. If you're at the level of 500 or more, which is where you're getting into unconditional love,
Mm-hmm.
if you're just there for even just moments,
Mm-hmm.
in those moments, you're actually counterbalancing the negative energy and negative vibrations of millions.
Mm. That's kind of like that little flashlight, that little flicker of a
Little
flame.
flashlight,
Little
yes,
flash, a lighter. I mean,
cannot
flicker of a frame, and
Mhm,
all that darkness couldn't squelch it.
like that.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah, when I first read that book in 2005, I had spent by that point several $100,000, thousands of hours building my nutrition course, body
Mm.
nutrition certification. And so I muscle tested what's the vibration level of my course. And it came out at 150. And I was so shocked. I was like, what? I poured my love into this. And in a moment of incredible clarity, I realized that I had built the entire thing on defense.
Mm.
I was talking about and expressing all the life experiences with nutrition and rock solid stuff. But then because of belief structures that you needed to like back everything up, and the way that I did it was actually from a fear-based perspective.
Oh yeah.
So I took out a blank sheet of paper and started my course again.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something for us to remember, that the power versus force scale is always happening.
Yeah.
We go into anger, we experience shame, we climb out of shame, we go to pride, we go to acceptance, we go to unconditional love, we go to not caring even about our name.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're gliding around having these momentary experiences of all these vibrational levels.
Yeah.
And so the quantum leap nature of detachment is that we can express from acceptance and higher.
Wow.
At most of the time, we can entrain our brain, because our
Yeah.
brain is actually entrained based on the morphic fields and the belief structures of the way society is, and has not been left questioned for hundreds of thousands of years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we're actually living out belief structures and morphic fields. Morphic fields are literally tangible belief fields.
Mm-hmm.
And when you detach,
Mm-hmm.
you're unhooking from all of it.
Yeah.
So it takes practice, it takes time. So
Yeah, you got to be patient with that, because you're talking about that earlier. You folks may have heard me refer to Michaela as Hun, and that's fine because she is my granddaughter, and so I call her Hun. I just call her Michaela soon. She's little. But my point being, I'm going to ask Michaela. Michaela, has your mother ever told you when you were a kid growing up, why? Because I said so. Did she ever say that?
She has, and I'm so guilty of it. But I will
Mm-hmm.
say that the only time I find myself explaining to my kids why they can't do something or why we do something is if it's like a safety concern.
Mm-hmm.
But kids are so curious, and it's 90% of the time, if they're doing something like put your shoes on, it's why. It's because I said so, But
Yeah.
I was thinking about it earlier, and I was like, kids are so curious. They're so innocent, and they have no idea why. Like,
Yeah.
if she's saying, if I say put your shoes on, I should be like, And she says, why? Instead of because I say so, it should be, you need to put your shoes on so you can go outside. You know, you're not hurting your feet. It's hot outside. Because, I mean, kids ask you random questions.
Yeah, that because I said so. That is one of the most common family traditions that gets handed down. It got handed down from my parents to me, and I passed it on to my daughter. She passed it on to you, and now you're telling your little ones there, you know, why I got to do this because I said so.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's official, you know.
Yeah, and that kind of brings the whole, you know, we teach our kids to
It brings
authority.
the kids wanting to bump heads with you, and a lot of times too, you're so caught up in the process of life, you're not living, and you don't feel like you have the time to, you know, stop and explain.
Right.
I remember your mom telling me one time when I was around you and Colton when you were very small, just a couple, you know, kids, 3, 4 years old, 5, whatever. And Lisa said, Dad, you're a lot more patient with Colton and Michaela than you were with me and James. Well,
it's the same way with the girls.
Colton and Michaela were not as aggravating as you and James. And it really, and that's what I said to her. But my point being is that, you know, when you're young, kids don't come with a owner's manual. And, you know, you go on these traditions of what you have been taught. They could be good or bad. But my point being is that, you know, the second time around, you realized, hey, the love of the kids and the importance of them being there, that's priority. And that's priority. And, you know, of course, it's just different. It really is. You're more mature. You've got some experience. And you're not afraid to make a mistake, I think. I think that's one thing grandparents can say. They're not afraid to make a mistake. You know, I mean, if we want to buy you a chocolate cake or ice cream cone before supper, that's not a mistake. You know what I mean?
It's because y'all don't have to put up with the wild children after.
That's right. Look at that, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why.
Yeah. That's why. If you had to go with the kids.
Oh, they gave you chocolate? Okay, go ask if you can spend the night.
Oh, my goodness. But, you know, Lars, it's really amazing how we can get caught up in our beliefs and what we've been taught. And Bill mentioned the other day on the radio show, and I think I mentioned yesterday too, if I did, forgive me, but how automatically we go into defense. We got to defend that myth or that belief. And that works against us. It just really, it's kind of like putting water on your flame. I mean, or on your candle, it just, you know, smothers it right out your light.
Absolutely.
But I love what you were saying about the numbers there. And just because I could see us all hitting these peaks and valleys, you know, and going up and down not so much like we're on an emotional roller coaster, but, you know, going up and down and, you know, experiencing these things, because there's sometimes in life you experience something and all of a sudden you just feel a burst of energy. Like, yes, this is living. There's other times you feel like, man, that was a train wreck, you know, and it's perfectly normal. We all have those experiences in our life.
Yes.
And, you know, I love your attitude on how, you know, just let go. And that was quite a journey, I imagine, for you to come from where you were down the road reading books, and you got to your course, you poured your heart into it, and then you go, oh my gosh, only a 150, I think you said. That was a wake-up call. And if someone's out there listening and they are trying to, you know, implement what you're saying here and you're teaching, and at your website there, ladies and gentlemen, Lars's website is uexl.org, O-R-G. His email is info@uexl.org. If you go to his website, you have a free gift, do you not, sir?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Please. Let's
On
chat.
UXL, one of the very first things you'll see is the detachment meditation, which I prepared for everyone here. And it's an 18-minute meditation. It takes you through all the steps. It's super easy to follow along. Highly recommend that you do it first thing in the morning, at least one time during the day, and at the end of the day. And dedicate for yourself at least 30 days of immersing yourself in the detachment practice. And so we'll also unpack in the rest of our call today, hope to get through all of them, but eight ways in which you can enhance your spiritual growth. And through that, because all relationships and everything we're experiencing is actually part of our spiritual path, it just really eases the whole journey and makes it so much more fun.
Well, please go ahead and I'm going to turn the mic over to you, because what you're going to say is a lot more important than what I could possibly think of to say. And at least I'm honest. So go ahead, sir.
Well, it's all subject matter. You're a brilliant man, Jim. Brilliant man. Detachment. You were talking about positionality. And that is actually a very commonplace. When someone hears something, you want other people to believe it, or at least them to agree with you, and so forth. So that's where we get groups and division and so forth in the world. So in Hawkins scale of consciousness, the 300 to 400 level is the level of acceptance. What does it mean to accept? It means to be fully within your own power and not give your power away. That's all. You're just bringing pure presence to whoever it is that you're in the presence of, and you are not attempting to change them. And that is actually one of the most magnetizing ways to be. Think about it. Michaela, when you want your kids to do something, and let's just say you have 6 children, so let's just say 2 are doing and they're having a super fun time. What do the other 4 want? They want some of that, right? Sometimes. So there's a natural magnetizing to a state of acceptance. Acceptance is not acquiescence. Acquiesce. What is to acquiesce? Acquiesce is to give your power away to an authority who supposedly has the answers, when actually you accept your own power and you ask lots of questions. So one of the things about being detached is that it actually puts you deeply in touch with your superconscious, with your heart, which is brilliant, with your soul. And so, yeah, the way we then, it's the moment you've practiced the detachment, the moment you've done the meditation, you'll see what I mean. You'll experience it. On the other side of it is a state of, it's almost like you put this big bag of worries and this big bag of burden down, maybe for the first time in your life.
Wow.
And the part of that bag, what's in it? What's in that bag? Beliefs, connections and cords, expectations, shame, guilt, fear, worry, all of the things that accumulate as a part of us living our lives. And so through the practice of detachment, we let that all go. Now, detaching also means detaching from what we really love. So you were saying love and fear. There's love, which is attached love, which is then once you experience that, one of the innate ways of being is to fear losing it. And that happens a lot in relationships where two people come together, there's this explosion of love, and then there's the fear. So all these other things kick in. When you're detached, you're experiencing the love over and over and over and over again, continuously from that point.
That's really amazing when you talk about love, because it's so true. Initially, it's the greatest thing on planet Earth, and I knew a individual, I'll say, very well, and this individual went through relationship after relationship after relationship, and I heard a guy, one of my friends, say it very well. Said that this individual is in love with being in love. And for the first, 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 3 months, it's a perfect utopia. But then the fear factor cuts in, reality cuts in. You realize this guy or this gal, they can't part the Red Sea and lead you into the promised land. I mean, they got faults and they got, problems, and, I mean, they may, if it's a guy, he may not be halfway house trained when it comes to cleaning up around the house or something, he just might make a worse mess but the newness of the love wears off. And that's, so that's, I guess you would call that kind of like a superficial love. Would you call it like that? Or you have a better word for that? Because I mean, true love overlooks a lot of things, forgives a lot of things. And even though you won't forget it, but you forgive it to the point that you never bring it up again. That's true love.
Yes.
And you don't let it, rob you. You don't let it, gnaw at you on the inside like a rat on cheese or something,
I love that, Jim. Yes. So true love could be defined as unconditional love.
Yes.
The love that creates fear, creates all sorts of rules, is conditional.
Oh, yeah.
So what you're talking about is so deeply true that I would say most people in this world have not fully experienced unconditional love all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true.
And what we're talking about here is actually is one of the most important spiritual rituals to actually bring about that state of being that is actually innate to us, which is to love unconditionally. That is innate to us. That's part of the way that we're built.
Yeah.
So we were built out of love, for love, to bring love, and not based on conditions.
That's true.
And then there's go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's our nature. That's the nature within us. That's our spirit. And
yes. Unconditional love is the love that Michaela has for her kids. It's like they can mess up every single day, and they probably do. It's like, still love them 100%. Like there's no,
right.
It's unconditional. And yes, and so there's that aspect of belief, which is very, very interesting. The aspect of belief, when you say I believe, what follows I believe is not your truth. Because you believe it. You don't know it.
Right.
I believe in God versus I know God. Which one would you believe? Which one would you turn to? If someone stood in front of you and said, I know God, and the next person says, I believe in God. Jim, you know God.
Yeah, it's
you know God.
Yeah.
I know God.
Yeah.
There is no differentiation there. I know love. You know love.
Yeah. Because you feel it. I mean, it's just it's in it just strums it within your heart. It's kind of like it really does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you move deeply into this detachment process, you find yourself saying very rarely, and eventually never, I believe. You'd rather be silent than say something that is a regurgitated puppet fact or puppet piece of information.
Yeah.
And when we go ahead, Jim.
I was just going to say, I call that being a human parrot.
Yes. And most, I would say, like we were saying yesterday, we think around 70,000 thoughts a day. 90% are repetitive, the same that we thought the day before. And our cells are eavesdropping in on our thoughts. Our thoughts create hormones and hormone patterns, and therefore our cells are, and our body is an expression of our beliefs. And so when someone is sick, and there are lots, over 80% of the world's population is in a lot of stress. There's the feeling of lack of control, the feeling of worry, the feeling of fear. And those states actually, our cells are eavesdropping in on that. And therefore our immune system, when we're in stress, drops off. Our digestive system drops off. All the core functionalities drop off. Why? So that we can run away or flee or fight whatever it is we're stressed about.
Yeah.
However, when that stress signal doesn't turn off, that's where disease happens. We replace around 200 billion cells a day. We replace our eyes every 3 to 4 days, our intestinal lining every about 5 days, our skin every 3 weeks. Most of our organs repetitively and over again. And so those new cells that are being born, they can be born into a belief system or another, or rather a way of being where your thoughts are most predominantly focused on equanimity.
Yeah. And it's been,
state of balance.
Yeah, and it's been proven too that your subconscious mind, whatever you're focused on, whether it's negative or positive, doesn't make a difference because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference, doesn't care about the difference. But it will not let you fail. Think about that. If you're worried about something, it preoccupies your mind. I mean, your mind is not going to let you fail, the subconscious mind. And it's going to make sure that you keep going in the direction you want to be going. And that's why choice and getting detached is so important. You need to step back, relax, and say, hey, I need to recalibrate my mental compass. This is not good. Because whatever you're consumed with in your mind, your subconscious mind will make sure you do not fail in reaching that goal, even though it's a negative one. When I first heard that first time many years ago, and I read it, a few years later, I'm going like, are you kidding me? Wait a minute, that means everything that I've done, I'm worried about or whatever, has been self-inflicted. That's not fair. But I mean, it's a reality from the checkup, from the neck up, as Zig Ziglar would say, because if you're honest with yourself, that is the first step in coming out of the darkness and walking into the light. Because as long as you get defensive about that, you try to self-justify that, you're just continuing to keep yourself enslaved.
Incredibly good point. That brings up the point of humility. Point of humility.
I think we could all use some more of that.
All of us can. We hear a lot in the last couple of decades for sure. Is like, this is my truth. This is your truth. That actually is what creates even more division. Why? Because every time that you say my truth, based on what? Based on your lifetime of blueprinting? How about you, like, let's like go into that. Where were you born? All that. What does that truth actually mean in that moment of time? Because your conscious mind can only perceive a couple bits of data per second. Your unconscious, 20 million bits of data per second. So whose truth is it? Is it your unconscious, superconscious, or is it your soul truth? Or is it your observed blueprinted truth? Which one? And most come from the blueprinted one.
Yeah.
So it is when just like before we got on our live call here, we were laughing and having a good time. I really want the message to be that detachment is fun. It is funny. It is hilarious. When you start to actually, when you've done your first detachment, you'll want to do another one, and then you'll want to do another one, and you'll want to do another one, because it is a euphoric state of aligning with your soul, free of all perceptions, free of all beliefs, free of an entire lifetime of baggage. Boom, gone. It's the first time that you actually call all your soul power back and release all that is not yours for the first time in your life. Boom, gone. And then you'll want to do it again, and then again, because then what you do is you skyrocket from a place of wherever it is, whether it's acceptance, fear, worry, shame, wherever it is on the Hawkins scale, go right up to unconditional love. So you're actually vibrating at a state that actually anything can be attracted into your life. Anything you want, anything you desire.
Yeah.
Because you're at the highest peak pinnacle state of vibrational frequency. And so that's where that's where these other pieces need to come into place to be able to keep that momentum going, keep that energy going. So should we get into that? We have like 20 minutes left. Shall we jump into?
Yeah, let me just make one comment, and then you just jump right in there and start plowing, brother. Yeah, because one of the YouTube videos I like to listen to from time to time. It's about 32 minutes long. It's by Earl Nightingale, "The Strangest Secret," and his message is, and I'm not going to tell you everything because after all, it's a secret. You got to go find out yourself. But my point being is that as soon as you ask something of the universe, it's yours. You own it. That is, if you're ready for it. That's all I'm going to tell you. "The Strangest Secret" by Earl Nightingale. And that's, so now it's time for Lars.
That is beautifully said. I love those interjections of wisdom from both of you. It's epic.
Well, it mainly comes from Michaela instead of me. I'm just reading her notes over here.
That's awesome. Way to go, Michaela. Do you have any questions before we continue on, Michaela? Anything else that's coming to you?
I think one question is, so I know you have the whole meditation, I think it's like maybe 20-ish minutes, maybe a little under that. So that's kind of how you can get into the process of, it's okay. That's how you can get into the process of detachment. So what if it's, for me, I'm very like intuitive. So if I walk into like a place, I can feel, it's not every time, but I can feel all the energies of the people around me. And sometimes if we're like, it could be like a restaurant, right? And I can't focus on eating and my husband or like the kids or whoever I may be with, because I can just, sometimes it's just one person that something in my head is just drawing me to them, right? And I can't like release all of those, I don't know, it's like these little strings to that just one person that I don't know. And unless I go and talk to them, is like, will this process help with that to where I don't have to like talk to them necessarily to kind of get rid of anything that I'm feeling, if that makes sense?
That's a really profound question. Very, very, very deep, and actually very, yes. So let's step back and look at this from a higher picture. Number one, you want to follow through on your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something that you're connected to, and it might be a waitress or someone, and you just like, you need to say something, it's actually a good habit to actually act on those intuitions.
Right.
If it's something that's distracting and it's like, oh man, this person did this, and it's like, oh man, the waitress is not paying attention to it, blah blah blah, and it's like creating like squirrely thoughts in your mind, then it's just a very, very fast detachment. Yes, very simple. Actually, it takes 18 minutes, but once you get into the habit, it takes like 30 seconds. It's like, I detach, I cut all cords, I call all my power back, I release all that is not mine. Boom, done.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's how it's all perspective, really.
It's his perspective.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess you say, act on it, and normally I do. And the last time that I did, it was this girl, and she was pregnant, and I don't know, she went with a whole bunch of people, and she was all by herself. I don't know. And something kept telling me, go talk to her, go talk to her. And then like, me and my husband were on a date, and he's like, just leave her alone. Like, she's fine. And I'm like, I can't focus on you. I can't even, focus on myself because something keeps telling me to go over there. And it turns out she was having a girl, and I had all these baby things to get rid of. So I guess I could see it more as like a gift, I guess, than as a problem to try to get rid of.
Yes, absolutely. And detachment will actually put you in stronger connection to that gift. That's the thing, is that you're through the practice of detachment, in doing a detachment in that moment, calling all your power back, you're now operating from your soul, from your infinite self. And therefore, you're also bringing in a higher vibe and higher energy into that particular interaction. If you're bringing in all of your belief structures and all that sort of stuff, but you were in the pureness of love and pureness of service, pureness of humility, pureness of being in service in that moment. And it was a beautiful moment. One I'm sure will never forget for the rest of her life. Well done. Nice. Anything else?
I think that was it. I do know, so you're going to talk about how detachment can heighten your intuition. So
Yes.
that's kind of why I wanted to ask that.
Yay. Okay. I'm going to go through this riff. There are 8 notes that I've made in terms of enhancing the detachment process. In fact, also speeding it up. When we're in stress, when we're in physical stress, our body's producing cortisol, adrenaline, etc. So it's pushing the boundaries of our emotions. If you can gain dominion over that and detach, that's awesome. How about taking your body out of stress? So the first thing is physical vitality. Take good care of yourself. Get into organic foods. Start teaching yourself about how magnificent your body is, your immune system. Really understand how powerful you are and the interaction between emotion and belief and thoughts and our body. Become really, really tuned into that. Exercise, fresh air, getting grounded. Anthony Robbins calls it getting into state, changing your state. So I mean, if you're really upset, go take your shoes off, go outside, get grounded, put your feet on the bare earth. There'll be an electric exchange between you and the earth. It'll vent out all the negative, and boom, you change your state. So you can change your state through what you think, what you perceive, what you do, and how you affect your internal environment. So one of the fastest ways, if you're upset, to bring yourself right back into center is drink a nice large glass of water with a pinch of salt in it.
What does the salt do?
Always waiting for that question.
Yeah.
I was like, one of you is going to ask that question. Our bodies are electrical. We are electrical beings having a human experience. So all hormone function, everything is electrical, except we learn throughout the last decades and even scientific evidence to cut salt down. However, what type of salt? There's a sea salt with 84 ionic trace minerals in it, and there's salt that's been heated to 4,000 degrees that has no resemblance to anything living in your body, period.
Yeah,
it causes high blood pressure. It causes water retention. It causes all these things.
Yeah.
You put a pinch of sea salt, living sea salt, into water, it makes the water wetter. It makes it actually more absorbent into your body. If you were to compare the two, if you have like a glass of water on its own and then you have a glass of water with a pinch of salt, a glass of water with a pinch of salt will hydrate you way deeper.
Yeah.
So important for all of life to actually remember that from this point forward. Drink your water between meals, not with food. If you drink that water and you have a nice big glass of water with food, it's going to dilute the digestive juices and you're going to have rotting, putrefying matter moving through your body for the next 8 to 12 hours. So drink water up to 5 minutes prior to a meal and starting an hour and a half after. That alone, that one piece. I've coached thousands and thousands and thousands of people over these years. I have yet to meet one who drinks water at the right time. And I've met one who takes enough of the good salt. So I know that this is one of the most important pieces that's our audience here, bless your hearts for being on with us, that you will ever take away from this call.
Yeah, it's like one of my buddies, he landed in the hospital and he says, you know, the doctor told me to cut back on salt. I wound up here in the hospital. First thing to do is hook me up with saline.
Right. Yes.
You know.
Yes, exactly.
So basically, we just have to go to the beach more when we're upset, drink all that water at the beach. And now I have a reason to tell my kids why they can't drink water with their food, because that is one of our rules. But my reason is always they finish the whole thing of water and then they don't want to eat. But now I have like a reason.
Yes.
So thank you.
It's awesome. And it's also really good habit for the whole family to drink a nice large glass of water, make it a ritual, 5 to 10 minutes prior to a meal.
Yeah.
One is hunger is actually dehydration. One really big reason for hunger is dehydration.
Right.
When you drink a nice large glass of water with the salt in it. Now the salt also energizes your central nervous system, your brain, your cells, your muscle, your hormones, everything. Without salt, you die. So having the salt energizes the whole being, puts you into an elevated state because the salt and the water combination has an extremely high frequency. So you're actually consuming one of the highest frequency as you possibly can. So
Mm-hmm.
you're putting yourself into that frequency state, which is really so epic.
Because I remember in the military, we get out there on training, especially in hot days and stuff. The salt stains that just come through your clothes. And at Fort Bragg, and when I was in basic, and also at Fort Gordon, they would make us put salt tablets in our canteen and to keep our salt up. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Get those
Did you say how much we put in the water? I don't know
Just
if
a
I missed
pinch.
that.
Just a
Oh,
pinch.
okay.
Yeah.
Tiny bit. It'll make the water sweeter, actually. You don't even taste the salt.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. 7 more to go.
Okay,
10
let's
minutes.
go. Let's
More
go.
to go.
Overdrive.
Powerful rituals and habits. Okay. So we all have rituals. We all have rituals. We have a way that we get ready in the morning. We have a way that we get up in the morning. We have a way that we eat, the way that we prep ourselves for eating, what we do afterwards. We have a ritual for pretty much everything. Once you clue into that, you actually can journal all your rituals in the day. Like what is my ritual for spending time with the kids? What is my ritual for communicating or whatever? So one of the most powerful rituals, of course, that I'm introducing to everyone is the ritual of detachment. Doing the detachment while brushing your teeth, a change of ritual. Now you're combining rituals. You're putting together the power of detachment and that walking and doing detachment. So think about that from a perspective of what can I do for powerful rituals. I'll give you one combo that if you follow through on this will shift the rest of your life. And this is every 90 minutes you take a 15-minute break. Every 90 minutes you take a 15-minute break. They've actually scientifically proven that the brain and the ability to focus declines after 90 minutes. So if you're trying to force yourself to go for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, what do we do in that 15-minute break? We journal, we get grounded outside, we go for a walk, we get on the rebounder, we do some exercise, we laugh, we watch something funny, we listen to some good music, we drink a nice large glass of water with a pinch of salt in it, we do detachment practice, we journal. So there are lots of other habits and other rituals that can be twinned in with that. And when you get really good at this, you're actually taking a break 4 or 5 times a day. And that is by the end of the week and by the end of the month, it's the equivalent of having days and days and days of off time. It's also a respite for your human to know I can focus for 90 minutes and then take my break. Focus for 90 minutes, take a break. Okay? In the practice of detachment, and if you were to dedicate to this and do the detachment 4, 5, 6 times a day, your life will never be the same. It'll be so amazing, so spectacular. You'll be always operating from the perspective of your soul. You'll be always re-engaging and re-coming back to the highest possible frequency of unconditional love. Number 3, when triggered, we trigger often. I get triggered all the time, every day. And the triggers, where do they come from? They come from beliefs. They come from, the triggers are the triggers that happen beyond conscious control. So you just automatically are sad or automatically happy or automatically angry or whatever. When you're triggered, especially if it's a negative trigger, pause. Just pause. The moment you pause, you turn into observer. You turn from being the actor to the director in that moment. And after the pause, when you take that pause and you reflect, you become the script writer. So when you're in engagement and there's this onslaught of stuff coming at you, pause. Now you're the director, you're the observer, and then you write the new script. You reflect and you create the new response. Number 4, suspending all belief. That's why at the end of a meditation, I suspend all belief and align myself with the infinite wisdom of my soul. By suspending all belief, it doesn't mean that you toss out everything. You're literally shifting your perspective into the now. And then all belief just gets washed away, and then what is clear emerges. It's a very, very powerful thing to actually practice, is suspension of all belief. Number 5 is always do your best. Always do your best. No matter what, some days you're going to be totally drained. Michaela with 6 kids, hubby. I mean, I personally can't even imagine it. And that is just such a mind-boggling, amazing task that you have every day. And so some days you're going to be high energy, some days you can be low energy.
Mhm.
Some days you can detach easily, some days you can't detach at all. You're just so overwhelmed by it. Always do your
And,
best.
and if you like, Michaela could send them over for a day or two.
Yep.
Yes. Number 6,
Mhm.
wish joy, love, peace, and prosperity on everyone and everything out there, including your enemy.
That's hard.
Boomerang karma. Wish joy on that person. So imagine the kind of hex cursing that's going on without hexing and cursing when you're thinking about someone, and you're very angry at them. Detach first. Detach. Call all your power back. Release all that is not yours. Suspend all belief. Align yourself with the infinite wisdom of your soul,
Mm.
and send them love. Send them wishes for prosperity, wishes for joy.
Mhm.
Number 7, pay attention to all synchronicities. The moment you detach, you're aligning with your soul power. Like that is actually the most spectacular place one could ever be in one's entire life, is actually in alignment with your soul. And now you've got a practice where you can do it all day long until it becomes an entrained, you actually brain entrainment, you become entrained to being in your soul power at all times. And so synchronicities start happening super, super fast.
Mhm.
A book will come up, or it's like what Michaela was saying, you're at a restaurant and that was a powerful synchronicity, and you listen to it, took action. When you're detached, you're not imposing belief structures on a situation. You're literally viewing it for the beauty of the magic that's actually emerging for you.
Mhm.
The 8th and final one, you made it, is to continuously ask good questions. Life is lived in proportion to the quality of our questions. We just get good at asking questions. You guys ask awesome questions. That's why
What'd
you
he say? What'd he say, Michaela?
Life is lived in proportion to the quality of our questions.
Mhm. Yeah.
And yes, Jim, you ask lots of good questions.
Oh, well, thank you. And be sure again and mention your website there, uexl.org. And when people go there, about your free gift and how they can start,
Yes,
getting uncluttered upstairs in the attic.
exactly. So when you go to uexl.org, you'll see the gift on the page for the detachment meditation. It's immediately available. So as soon as you put your name and email in, it's just right there. You can download it right away. It's available, therefore, on your phone or any mobile device. Highly recommend, if you're not journaling already, start journaling.
Mm.
You can re-listen to this whole audio, go back through those 8 things, as great reminders, and then practice and practice often.
Mm.
I would encourage everybody to remember my story. If you didn't hear it yesterday, I'll quickly say it again. I learned detachment back in 2002, followed it for 6 months. My life started to explode, become really, really amazing. And then I forgot to continue to detach.
Mm.
And then the attachments start to creep in over the years, and they happen fast. We think 70,000 thoughts a day.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We think lots of thoughts. We're exposed to lots of external stimuli, and they're
Mhm.
all hooking in and creating attachments. And so
Mhm.
detaching continuously creates a clear state of being,
Mhm.
a joyful state. And that's my
Yeah.
wish for you and all of you.
So, Michaela, you came back today because you had some questions and you wanted to hear more of what Lars had to
I
say.
hope I got some. Did I get them all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, did you, I bet you're glad to be here, aren't you? I know that I am with Lars.
I am too.
Yeah.
And it's something that everybody can relate to and try and change their life, really.
Sure. Yeah,
Mm.
It's
because you're
just
not
like that
asking.
saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you're not asking them to change, any big changes. Just, just take inventory of themselves and get rid of the junk, clean out the attic, upstairs. And because I was watching you as he was talking, and you were just, I could see you were really dialing in on what he was saying there, and I'm so glad because
I got focused.
yeah, a lot of people out there, you folks that watch us on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Android TV, Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, LinkedIn, even Grandma's TV. We appreciate it. But most importantly, the show will be downloaded tonight. Lars's first show, part one, was uploaded to our YouTube channel, which is Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show on YouTube. This one here will be uploaded tonight. Be sure and share this with others, because you and I, we all know people that really need to hear this information, because their lives are, so cluttered. And sometimes they feel like there's nowhere to turn or no one cares. And if they just, let go and turn loose and take Lars up there on his free thing there, his free gift to you there at uexl.org, and journal, and you be the judge, because that's the best way of doing it. Well, Lars, our times are gone, and Michaela, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank
And
you, everyone,
ladies,
audience.
You bet. And be sure and get in touch with Lars there. His email is info@uexl.org. And our time is gone, but thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you tomorrow. Me and Donna will be back tomorrow, but have a wonderful evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
See everyone.